Hi everyone, I'm Megan.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
We just wanted to pop in and say hello, but we're going to give everyone a few more minutes to just join and log on, and we'll get started around like 1:05. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Just before we jump into the insights that we have for you today, I wanted to go through some housekeeping items. So if you're not familiar with Taboola, we work with over 20,000 companies globally, and we reach 1.4 billion people across the planet, recommending them content on publisher sites and OEMs and carriers and other digital properties. And we're here to talk to you about our holiday trends today, so please take note of the GoToWebinar control panel. Throughout the webinar, you can ask us any questions you need in the questions module, and we'll try to answer as many of them as we can at the end of the webinar. And if you're not able to attend for the entire presentation, we will send you the webinar deck and the recording when we're done. So let's get started.
Hi, everyone. So I'll start with introducing myself. So my name is Rachel Zalta. I head up research and insights at Taboola. My background's in psychology, so you'll be hearing me throughout the webinar saying like, oh, guys, wait, but what about the psychology of this or human behavior? I've been at Taboola for quite a while, so almost 4.5 years, actually. And you could feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of cool stuff there.
And I'm Megan. I'm Taboola's Senior Content Marketing Manager. I started my career in journalism and media studies and was a local journalist for a while before ending up transitioning to content marketing in the tech space, which is where I really had a lot of interest. I've been in content marketing for 7 years, and I've been with Taboola for the last 3. You can tweet me at Megan Rose M, and if you would like to tweet during this webinar, we ask that you use the hashtag TaboolaTalk so we can find it later. All right, so let's dive in. As we're getting started, I want to talk about some of the sales opportunities that exist around the holidays because the sales opportunities are truly massive. In the US alone, there's going to be an opportunity for $730.7 billion of revenue across all different types of verticals and devices. And something that's really important to remember about this is that a lot of these purchases will happen online. It's where people are more comfortable making purchases these days. And same data from the National Retail Federation shows us that over 73% of people plan to do research or buy on their smartphones, and 56% plan to make all purchases online. So there's a lot of opportunities here for sure.
Cool. So we'll start with the first poll. So we're going to ask you guys. So before we get started, we want to know when you guys start your holiday campaigns. So we have 4 different options. We'll see when it goes up. Okay. So we have from June to July, August to September, October, or November? Give you a few more seconds, I guess, Megan, to reply.
Yeah, we'll give you guys about 10 seconds.
Cool.
Okay, it looks like it's a pretty even split here, and it looks like you guys are slowly finishing up.
Some people are saying they can't hear us. I'm hoping that they hear us now. Okay.
So the results of the poll, 42% of you said you get started in November, and 40% of you said you get started in October. The rest, 15% get started in August and September, and 3% start in June or July. So for those of you who get started very early, that's great. But we do recommend preparations start in October and at latest early November. So, and a lot of these recommendations that we're going to make for you guys, just to set the stage here a little bit, we have millions of ads running through our network at all times. And we looked into all of them to specifically pull out holiday insights to make sure that we were giving you guys the best advice that we could. And we noticed that people that started testing, preparing in October and early November, and even as early as the summer, definitely perform better than others. October is typically a good time too to create new content or any new creatives that you're going to need for your holiday campaigns. And we recommend having a bunch of creatives in the bank in case you end up facing creative fatigue, which, in case you haven't heard that term before, is when people get a little bit tired of seeing your holiday ad and they stop responding to it. This is also the time to set up any landing pages that you're going to need for the holidays, anything from product landing pages to blog articles to ebooks, whatever is relevant for you and your brand. Get those landing pages set up in October. Make sure you have proper tracking in place so you can test new devices, new audiences. And if you haven't started yet, there's still time. The most important thing is to feel very prepared for the onset of the Thanksgiving week and the Black Friday holiday.
Yeah, so you definitely want to be prepared from that perspective. But one other thing that I had in mind was actually about so again, I always think about what's actually happening in the mind of our consumers. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little bit on the forgetful side. So I need constant reminders. Okay, holiday season's coming up. You have to start thinking about what kind of gifts you want to buy. You have to start making plans. And it's useful when brands are actually reminding their consumers, or reminding me, make sure to start thinking. So that's another reason why it's important to actually start earlier.
Absolutely. Okay, so then your preparation is done, moving on to sort of early November, mid-November. This is when you really want to focus on, I hesitate here to say brand awareness, but really scaling your audience. You really want to begin your holiday campaigns with the goal of collecting as much data and growing your audience as much as possible. So in order to do this, you're going to want to take those new creatives, those campaigns, and go really wide with targeting. Try not to start with targeting specified by site, device, different audience types. Collect as much data as you can on who's or responding to your campaigns on their own, and then make adjustments closer to the Thanksgiving holiday. We also recommend that you bid a bit higher than normal during this season. Not only are you competing with advertisers, of course, that are also running their holiday campaigns, but you're going to be competing with publishers and other digital properties that are trying to run down their budgets at the end of the year. If you do choose one thing that you want to target or narrow it down in one way, we recommend making sure you're testing the mobile devices, campaigns on specifically mobile devices, because we'll talk about this a little bit later too, but research shows that that's where a lot of research for gifting is happening, and now is a good time to reach people that are doing research for the holidays. And during this time, think content like gift guides, blog posts, different earned media, video commercials, and more things that can kind of get people familiar with your brand and might assist them in that research. So once Black Friday hits, it's certainly time to focus on conversions. This is the time to adjust your CPAs and your CPCs to reach those people who are actually responding to your campaigns and increasing your spend at this point. Some other tips, so retarget the audience you've been collecting prior to Black Friday with new content and new deals, new creatives that you've already prepared. And we also recommend simultaneously running mobile and desktop campaigns to help reach those new audiences and then capture them again when they're converting. This is also the time to get aggressive with audience data and on the open web for open web campaigns, narrow down by sites that are working best for you. And content-wise, you're going to want to refocus on product landing pages and more conversion-driven content here. And then finally, we'd like to recommend that you don't stop the momentum after the Christmas holiday is over. We'll talk about this a little bit later too, but we actually do see a lot of activity still happening through the new year and in January. And it's a really great time to retarget your customers with content that's going to help them remember you, especially the people that physically made purchases from you between Black Friday and Christmas. This is maybe a good time to bring video back to stay top of mind in a brand awareness way, or keep the relationship warm with email and different other types of branding campaigns. It'll stay top of mind and it'll keep those customers loyal.
Cool. So we have the second poll. Megan, you want to pull it up?
Yes.
So I'll give you guys, I'll start it. I'll start the question. So what type of content do you focus on promoting around the holidays? So we have video, product landing pages, blog articles, earned media, or others.
And we'll give you guys about 10 seconds again. Couple more seconds, guys. Okay, it looks like over half of you said that you like to promote product landing pages, 20% of you said video, and 10% of you or less said blog articles, earned media, and other. So it's of course not surprising to hear that people are promoting product landing pages, and we're certainly not here to recommend that you don't do that. It's a very important part of the strategy. But if we can go to the next slide, we do want to reinforce how powerful video can be when it comes to making research or getting to know brands a little bit better to help customers get to the point where they're ready to buy from you. This is specifically as a quote from Eric John, who's Deputy Director of the IAB Digital Video Center, that he said in Marketing Land. And he talks a little bit here about how video is growing, but most importantly, he also drives home that mobile video advertising should be a core focus during the holiday season, because it really is a very powerful and impactful way to reach your consumers. And then the second part of this message that we do want to get across is that mobile is really important. So data from eMarketer tells us that 60% of traffic and 40% of holiday sales are made on mobile devices. And it plays a huge factor when it comes to research. More often than not, people start researching their gifts on their mobile devices and then actually decide to make a purchase when they sat down at their desktop devices. So it's really important to take both into account when you're planning your campaigns for the holiday season and retarget those mobile users on desktop campaigns. They are and will make purchases on both, but it is important to maybe retarget mobile users that hadn't interacted, hadn't made a purchase, maybe visited a product page and left on desktop devices later when they might be ready.
Yeah, you know, I'm just thinking about this stat for a second. So it looks like more people are actually buying on their desktop, but they're doing more research, right? That's what you're saying. They do more research on their phone. And that kind of makes sense to me. Like, I'm trying to think when I want to be inspired, like I'm trying to think of ideas of like what to buy. That would be like on the way to work, right? That'd be on my phone. But I'm not going to actually like commit to anything or like buy anything yet. I think I would wait to like be sitting comfortably in front of my desktop, you know, being able to open multiple tabs to actually like purchase something. So I think this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, sitting down when you can crunch the numbers type thing.
Yeah.
And just a little tidbit here from the National Retail Federation, the types of gifts that consumers are looking for are mostly fashion, books, and technology, with sporting goods and home decor not far behind. And we actually took a look into the data on our own network as well, and looked about the types of gifts that people were reading about around the globe. And across the board, hands down, number one gift that people were reading about on Black Friday were technology devices. So laptops, smartphones, tablets, anything technology related. And so what we really dug deeper into was the second favorites of everyone across the globe. And we found similar trends here. We found a lot of different home related things, like things for the bedroom, things for the home, different lighting opportunities. And then we also found a lot of people interested in media, music, and books, and then food and auto products as well. So that being said, we do want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of these popular verticals for holiday gifts. And we'll dive into the verticals and talk about some vertical specific examples. And then we'll also talk about some marketing trends and marketing tips that can apply across all verticals. We also took a look into data across our network to give you guys targeting recommendations and creative strategy recommendations for building your campaign a bit better. So first, we'll get started with education. All right, so we're gonna play you guys an ad. And before we play it, just keep in mind what sort of marketing strategies Barnes & Noble might be using here to help reach their consumers a bit better.
To spellbinders, pathfinders, to grand plan designers, to historians, Victorians, and all the Targaryens, to gastronomers, astronomers, and new cinematographers, to wizards, to witches, to those who cross stitches. If you're a dreamer, big thinker, or discovery seeker, through these doors, more wonder awaits. Nobody knows books like we do. Barnes & Noble.
Great. So I'm sure you noticed as you were watching that ad that Barnes & Noble used a lot of smiling, happy, laughing people, really leaning here into positive emotion to help sell some books around the holidays. And they did use both video and traditional written content to achieve these goals. This is an example of a newsletter that they sent to keep going with the Nobody Knows Books Like We Do campaign. So they're coupling video, they coupled email newsletters. We also saw a couple of blog posts that were related to this as well to really drive home their message over the holidays.
Cool. So I'm going to dig a little deeper into the psychology. So positive emotion is one of the strongest marketing strategies that you can use. And these strategies that I'm going to talk about are actually, they're true for all verticals, right? Not only education, it just, worked with this example here. But when we think about positive emotion, this is what leads to connections. I want you to think about people who you're close with. People who you're close with are people that you've went through emotional things with them, right? When you go through emotional things with somebody, you feel more connected with them. And that same thing happens when we watch an ad that makes us feel something emotional, happy. We start connecting that happiness to that brand. The way our brains work is on association. So similar to that, if I walk somewhere and I experience something really nice, what happens is that I start associating that place with that positive feeling. So that's kind of the way that's kind of the way that these video ads work for brands. Another thing that researchers found is that when you use a lot of emotion in your ad, people pay more attention to you. And what happens is people remember more details, both short-term and long-term. So if you ask people about your ad, if it's more emotional, they'll remember more details about it a week later and also a month later. And there are also studies that show that including emotion actually leads to including positive emotion will lead to more decision making towards your brands. People are going to buy more of your products or buy more of your service.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And keeping up, we're going to talk about a lot of these marketing strategies and how you can use them in your creatives and your content, but really they mean nothing if you're not targeting correctly and reaching the right people. So narrowing back down now to the education vertical, these are some specific education insights that can help with education campaigns. We do recommend testing campaigns on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. In the top right there, you'll see a graph that kind of illustrates this a bit, and we're going to go through these same insights for various verticals, and what I'm about to say now will apply to all of them. So when we look at data on our network, we try to find the best opportunity for marketers, a time when they can really reach customers and resonate when there's not a lot of competition out there. So to do that, we take a look at two things. One is the click-through rate on education-related content across our network. And we assume when people are clicking, that's because they are interested in that content and they want to see that, and we define that as demand. We also take a look at the spend percentage across our network, which means out of all of the campaigns on our network, the percentage that are being spent on education campaigns at that time. And we consider that the supply that's out there, the amount of content that's out there that users have the opportunity to click on. So when there's a high demand and a low supply, there's an opportunity for education marketers to capitalize on. So here, like I said, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays have the highest opportunity for education marketers out there to reach their consumers. And it's also really important when on the bottom right there, there's a graph that relates to time of year. We see high spikes in the beginning of the year here when the kids are going back to school and in January. So it's important to keep some of that holiday momentum going after the holiday has actually passed. When it comes to device targeting, we recommend targeting tablet devices or testing campaigns on tablet devices, perhaps for that research area of the holidays we were talking about before, and taking maybe some of the videos that you're producing or creating and embedding them in landing pages and running those landing pages through sponsored content and more traditional media. We see a high appetite for those types of campaigns as well. And when you're building those creatives, you're going to want to avoid animals in your photos. We're seeing an 100% higher click-through rate on campaigns, education campaigns that don't have animals in the images. And in addition, the words state and test in various headlines are increasing click-through rates up to 175%. So, and we want to walk you guys through a little bit of what this would actually look like in practice. So I'm sure you're all very familiar with the 3 stages of the funnel: awareness, consideration, and decision, the basic funnel. And so these are some, based on the insights that we just said, these are some example campaigns. So as an education marketer for an online university, you might qualify someone that's interested in just educational gifts in general with an awareness piece of content like 8 educational gifts that prep you for online worth learning. But when it comes to whether or not that person would actually consider your product for purchase, you might run a campaign, test your marketing know-how with our quiz. That person probably isn't interested in, for example, a marketing course if they're not interested in testing their own marketing know-how. And for the decision area of the funnel, maybe targeting them, if you're targeting them with an ebook or a marketing related ebook or audiobook, you could say, get an audiobook today for a more enjoyable holiday.
Cool. And so these are actually based on real campaigns that ran last year that worked really well. And what I tried to do is choose the one that I like the most. So my favorite one here is the last one, get an audiobook today for a more enjoyable holiday. The reason why I liked it was because really this is like an evergreen product, right? It's not something that's specifically for the holidays, but you can take any product or any service and you can make it related to the holidays in different ways. The first thing you could do is make it into a gift, right? So gift this amazing product or whatever to someone you love. The second way is to say that it's going to contribute to your holiday, which is what they did here, right? You're going to have a more enjoyable holiday if you buy this. And then the third way that I've actually seen, I don't know how successful it is, but people actually just use the same exact titles and the same exact images, but they'll add like a Santa hat to the person in the image. I don't know how well that's actually going to perform, but a lot of people will do this. They'll take their regular campaigns that are running all year long and they'll try to make it more like holiday oriented to try to get more of that attention.
All right, so we're going to move on a little bit from education and talk about the fashion vertical. And same deal here, guys. Try to think about some marketing strategies that littlewoods.com might be using.
Think about the marketing strategies, but also think about like you, right, as a consumer when you're going to watch this video. How is it affecting you? Why are you liking this brand more now after watching this ad? Okay, so I'll play it.
Right, shall we? Same old life. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Own Christmas. When you spread the cost interest-free. Own it with Littlewoods.
So here, I hope it was clear that littlewoods.com was trying to leverage humor here to help sell their clothing line. They're a clothing brand that was founded in the UK. And I think a little bit they sell like other products as well, like headphones, and you might have seen in the ad itself. And this is great content for a couple of reasons. So I assume and have asked others as well. The Christmas walk is a play on the term catwalk, which is a funny quip that they adopted. And you could tell that they're like trying to walk the catwalk or walk like models, but it's the Christmas walk. So I thought it was like an interesting piece of content for that reason. And I think the humor really drives home why someone would identify with this brand. And then similar to Barnes & Noble, they coupled this with product landing pages that included the Own It brand or brand messaging on there. And were able to target people that were interested in the commercial and the video and sort of spread that message more widely.
Cool. So humor. Why does humor work? So humor is basically a kind of positive emotion, right? We spoke about why positive emotion is so impactful. Humor is a type of positive emotion, but it's an even stronger positive emotion than anything else, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but when the two guys in the movie bumped into each other, I kind of had like a giggle. I don't usually have such a strong reaction to anything else that I see. So people are really enjoying these like funny commercials. There are studies that show that 70% of people prefer a humorous commercial as opposed to any other type of commercial. Other like neuroscientific studies, they show that people remember these videos or these ads even more than any other kind of just regular positive emotion video. And the reason why is because of what we spoke about before. We have unconscious mental associations that are building all the time. And if we are like cracking up at a video ad about a specific brand, we're going to feel that same cheerfulness about that brand later on. One thing that a few studies pointed out was actually something to be aware of. And that is when you're putting together a video that's funny, a lot of times you'll be laughing at something. And you have to be really careful about what you're laughing at. You have to make sure not to laugh at any sensitive issues because they might, generate some kind of controversy, and then it would basically backfire. So not a good idea. Be very careful about what kind of humor you're going to use.
Right, and diving a little bit deeper into the beauty and fashion vertical itself, we have some targeting recommendations for you as well. So we do recommend testing campaigns on Wednesdays and Thursdays. That's when we're seeing the highest opportunity for fashion and beauty marketers. And also, same here in the fashion and beauty verticals, don't stop the campaigns after the holidays. We're seeing the highest opportunity for marketers then. People are still in demand for fashion content and fashion products in the January months and even a little bit into February as well. And when you're testing these campaigns, you'll want to test campaigns on tablet devices and also consider creating landing pages that host photo galleries. And this makes a lot of sense to me because I personally, if I'm shopping online, I'm more drawn to fashion items where there's various different photos on the product landing page. So we're seeing a much higher click-through rate with photo galleries and landing pages with a lot of pictures on them. And when you're creating...
I I feel like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I have like so many videos that I actually spend a lot of time watching about beauty, like different kind of videos on makeup and stuff, and those work really well. Maybe they only work on me, but I feel like they work pretty well on everyone.
Yeah, no, they probably do work well as well. And when you're building the creatives to distribute the type of content, video, or photo gallery you like, you're going to want to keep the images of the models in those photos close up. And when writing those headlines, focus on keywords like value and made, like homemade or whatever type of the word made you can get in there. But we're seeing that keyword increase click-through rates up to 143%. All right, so same deal here. We'd like to take you guys through some examples. In the awareness stage, you might want to qualify some people just interested in fashion and fashion products in general with a piece of content like 10 handmade gifts for your mom that she'll love. It'll help you understand the image here has a picture of a woman in what looks like a handmade scarf, and might help qualify people that might be interested in those particular types of gifts for the holidays. At the consideration stage, we have a headline here, the real reason everyone's getting this jacket. You're creating a little bit of mystery here and hoping that people will click to find out the real reason. And also simultaneously qualifying people that might be in the market for a jacket. And then at the decision stage, another type of campaign example, vintage shoes, a $500 value for $50 on Cyber Monday. You're being really straightforward here. These are vintage shoes that are on sale. You're putting the price in there, talking about the value the customer is receiving and explaining when they can receive it, highly qualifying someone at the decision stage of the funnel.
Yeah, so I love that last one. And it really talks to like the sense of urgency that I'm sure you guys are all aware of, right? When you say on Cyber Monday, they all want to click on it and purchase it now because they know that tomorrow they're not going to have it anymore. And I've actually seen a bunch of different headlines, and it makes sense to have a lot of these during the holiday season that were saying either, not Cyber Monday, but it would be like a New Year's sale, right? So it's going to end after the new year. Or there were even a bunch that said like offer ends at a specific date. And then like people know they have to purchase it before a specific date. So all of those things are like different ways to actually achieve that sense of urgency.
Yeah, and urgency is something that you can create across all verticals too. We're using it as an example here for fashion and beauty, but you're going to hear that word from us a lot. Urgency is pretty important, especially in terms of writing your headlines.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's dive into the technology vertical and talk a little bit about how to sell technology. So here's an example. Again, think about the marketing strategies that might be used here.
Mom? Dad? Hey, Google, what's on my calendar today?
You have one event called House to Yourself.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Google, add aftershave to my shopping list. Hey, Google, remind me to clean these sheets later.
Okay, I'll remind you.
Too bad AC ain't
Someone's at the front door.
What do I owe you?
Looks like you paid online. Keep that change, you filthy animal. Okay, cool.
Hey, Google, turn down the temperature 2 degrees. Hey, Google, begin Operation Kevin.
Operation Kevin underway.
Better get out of here before somebody sees us.
I love this one.
Yeah, it's a cute one. So this is a commercial for the Google Assistant, and they're certainly evoking some nostalgia here with using celebrity marketing, but with a popular, I think this movie was made in the 80s or the 90s, I can't remember, I'm sure. Maybe somebody on the webinar knows. The 90s?
I think.
Yeah. So the movie here is called Home Alone, and they brought back Macaulay Culkin to help sell the Google Home Assistant, and using the Google Home Assistant like it might have been his parents who left him in that movie by mistake. So it's very cute, very funny, and definitely leans a lot on celebrity marketing to help. And then in addition, Google coupled this campaign with a landing page to help sell different types of the Google Home Assistant, the Google Home Mini, different beautiful product pages that were related to the holidays that helped round out this campaign.
Okay, cool. So celebrity endorsements, do they work? Do they not work? So similar to the positive emotion and humor that we just spoke about, when we align a brand with something that we love or with a positive emotion, it's going to make us like the brand, right? So similar to that, this is what happens here. We're aligning the brand with a loved celebrity. Hopefully it's a loved celebrity. And that creates those positive associations. There was actually a really cool study that spoke about why this happens, or another reason why. And they spoke about it, they called it parasocial interaction. Okay, so what parasocial interaction actually means is this. Basically, according to these researchers, we feel like we know celebrities, we feel really close to them, and we feel because of that, we want to trust them. I guess because we see them in very like intimate situations, or I don't know, we feel really, really close to them. And similar to the way we feel when our sister or our brother or someone we're close to tells us that a product is really good, right? We believe them. Similar to that, when a celebrity who we also feel very close to, they tell us that a product is really good, we believe them too. So that's called parasocial interaction. And it works even when people know that these celebrities are getting paid to endorse these products, which is really interesting because you would think that people, you know, okay, the celebrity is getting paid, they don't really mean it, but people do actually believe it. So I think that's really, really interesting. And other studies have also found that when there's a celebrity endorsement or celebrity in a video, there's also higher attention and higher recall, or higher, people remember more about it. So similar to positive emotion and humor.
Pretty incredible, the fact that we relate to celebrities the same way that we relate to people that are in our lives every day.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, very interesting. So for the business and technology categories, we're just going to narrow into some targeting insights like we've done in the past. So for the day of week, you're going to want to test campaigns on Sundays and Thursdays, especially for consumer technology products. And the time of year analysis here really shows that between Black Friday and Christmas is when high opportunities for technology products exist. There is still a spike and a high opportunity in the new year, but really hit home with your spend here between Black Friday and Christmas. The platform that you should consider testing is mobile. We're seeing a high opportunity on mobile devices here, especially with the research piece here. Consumer technology is typically a more expensive gift depending on what you're selling, and probably more research goes into buying technology than other verticals in some cases. And the content type here, oh, sorry, go ahead, Rachel.
I just thought it was a good point. I just thought about that now. Like, I get it.
Yeah. The content type that does really well here, again, photo galleries do really well. Pictures of the technology from different angles, possibly also, again, because they are a little bit pricier, so people want to know what it is exactly that they're getting. And when building the creatives to run these campaigns, you're going to want to try black and white images. This sounds really counterintuitive. We hear a lot that colorful images catch people's eye, and this is true, but in a sea of colorful images, sometimes a black and white image will stand out more. So give it a test for your campaigns this season. And then also, if you can work it in there somehow, the keyword smartphones is increasing click-through rates by 82% across the network. All right, and into some campaign examples. We have an awareness campaign here, 45 brilliant gifts for your techie boyfriend. Might qualify some people that are interested in purchasing techie gifts for a man or a boyfriend in their lives. And at the consideration stage, we go a little bit deeper here. The go-to guide to gadgets likely to sell out this holiday. This helps qualify people that are definitely looking to purchase some sort of gadget or technology product during the holiday and are worried about it selling out. And then at the decision stage here, another really direct campaign example, buy smartphones for under $300 this Cyber Monday.
So I thought this go-to guide to gadgets likely to sell out this holiday was a really, really cool strategy. I've seen the same client actually use this for a few different products, so it worked really well for them. I think the reason why it worked so well was, one, because it's like a prediction, right? Like, this is likely to sell out. No one actually knows what's going to sell out, but they're like predicting that this is what's going to be working this year. So a lot of people are interested in that type of like knowledge. And of course, it also connects to that sense of urgency, right? If it's going to sell out, then like you want to make sure to be the first to purchase it, so you get it before it does sell out. So yeah, I think that's a really cool strategy that you should definitely try to use.
All right, and one of our other top verticals, home goods. So let's look at an example campaign for them. Keep in mind the strategies, guys.
Wayfair, you got what I need. And when I find what I need, it feels pretty sweet. You know the feeling, yeah, that's the one. It's the feeling of done, it's so much fun. Easy as a click, and done comes quick. Say it won't come easy? Click, boom, sleep, breezy, done more fun. It can even be crazy, so be one of a kind. Yeah, baby, get a deal done. While busy looks fun, just kick back, relax, Wayfair, you're done. You know the feeling, yeah, that's the one. It's the feeling of done, it's so much fun. Wayfair, you got just what I need, and it feels pretty sweet, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know the feeling, yeah, that's the one. It's the feeling of done, it's so much fun.
Bring home the feeling at wayfair.com.
So this was Wayfair's Done is Fun campaign, and they definitely leveraged a lot of motion here to help attract customer attention, and it really felt exciting and colorful to me, for sure.
I was very impressed by how much motion they were able to include in that, actually.
Yeah, absolutely, especially for a product that's typically so static, like furniture and home goods just sit there. And they really made it move.
Yeah, so a little bit about the psychology behind that. Okay, so this is something that I have spoken about in one of my previous webinars. So if you've heard it, you might be familiar with it. And it really relates to that survival instinct. So if I was in the jungle and I was trying to survive and there was something moving, how important would it be for me to notice that right away? So it would be obviously very, very important. And because of that, humans, and actually all animals, have an instinct to look towards those things that are moving and to look towards them right away. And that same instinct actually applies online too. So if we see something moving, our attention is going to go straight there. Now, in the previous strategies, we spoke about attention, and we spoke about recall or remembering different details or it affecting us in emotional levels. Here, with motion, it is a very strong effect, but it mostly has to do with attention. There are studies that talk about it really being like associated with high grabbing attention, with like grabbing a lot of attention, but also maintaining that attention. So Wayfair used motion throughout their whole entire video. I would probably assume that people would be paying attention throughout that whole entire video, not only grabbing attention in the beginning and then people leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and diving a little bit more into the targeting here, we recommend testing running your campaigns on Sundays. We're definitely seeing the highest opportunity for marketers there. Although looking at this graph, it does look like they're likely do well on Saturday as well, but the highest opportunity definitely exists on Sunday. And again, we're seeing high opportunities after the holidays. The opportunity here tends to be a little bit higher at the end of December, so between like the 25th and the 1st, but it definitely exists still in January, and we see high spikes, also an opportunity here over the spring season. And also consider testing your campaigns on tablet devices here and focusing on video really to sell your products. We're seeing click-through rates increase for this type of landing page. And when building the sponsored content to help promote them, you're going to want to stay away from images, or I'm sorry, you're going to want to include images with food. We're seeing click-through rates as high as 27%, higher than those without food for images in the home category. And when you think about it, it does make sense. I guess a lot of times we eat at home, we're comfortable eating at home. Food makes us feel very homey. So seeing food in the home and lifestyle images is resonating with people a little bit more than images of just like a bare couch or a bare table. And finally, the keyword house in your headlines is also increasing click-through rates by up to 87%.
So I had a thought. There are all these studies that talk about real estate agents putting like a plate of hot and yummy smelling cookies into the house before like their clients come in. And apparently that increases the rate of people actually purchasing the house. I wonder if this has to do with that. Like, right, putting like food in your pictures of home will kind of give that same homey feeling and make people want to like click. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, like they see the cookies there, they can, you know, it feels like home when you're eating there. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, diving into some example campaigns. To increase awareness here, we have a headline, 11 ways to beautify your home before the holidays. You're definitely qualifying people here that are interested in home goods and holiday related home goods. And maybe consideration for people purchasing gifts for the holidays, gifts for the house that will delight mom this Christmas. Likely behind this sponsored content is a gift guide or some sort of list of different gifts that you can provide to your mom that are home related, and those types of people are definitely considering that for the holidays. And as a decision campaign, don't buy new holiday decor until you see this site. Again, creating a little bit of a sense of urgency here and qualifying people who are indeed ready to buy some sort of home good.
Yeah, so I would say a sense of urgency, and I would add to that like a sense of like FOMO or fear of missing out, you know, because it's like, don't buy a new holiday decor until you see the site. Is there something that I'm missing? Like, is there some really important information there or something really cool or a cool product that I'm going to be missing out on if I don't click on it? And it works really well, and it's actually true, right? Like they actually have good stuff if you click on it and you actually check out what they have on their site. So that's a really cool strategy, this like whole FOMO strategy. That's it.
Right, and so keeping that in mind, let's dive into the sports category, our final vertical for this webinar.
Okay, so keep in mind the strategy, guys. I'm so in the mood to go on a hike right now.
Absolutely. And this was a really big risk for REI. They closed all of their stores on Black Friday in order to encourage people to opt outside and go outside instead of staying inside and shopping during the holiday. And they did this by creating a little bit of FOMO, right? Like they wanted to bring together the REI community and have them all kind of boycott Black Friday together.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not going to go into a store if I could go outside and hang out with everybody else. What am I missing out on out there?
Yes. And they did also use various other types of content to do this as well. This is an example of a billboard that they had, but they also had social media campaigns, blog articles. They changed their website for this event. So they did a lot for this. And it is worth noting that it worked. So while, of course, they didn't really have as many sales on Black Friday, their overall holiday sales increased for the time of year. So they definitely made an impact with this campaign.
So FOMO, okay? Using FOMO in a campaign, does it work? Does it not work? So it works most of the time. The reason why it works according to studies is because of this feeling or this need that us humans have to always feel connected. We always want to be part of what's going on. And that's what makes us always want to be in the know, right? Because if we don't know what's happening, then we're not in that circle. We're not in that connected circle. And so we feel like we're missing out and we always want to be part of it. So we have to find out all the information. One of the reasons why FOMO is so powerful is actually because of another really interesting insight, that we feel loss in a very intense way. So there are studies that show that we prefer avoiding a loss even more than acquiring an equivalent gain. So we prefer not losing $5 than we do gaining $5. Okay, so like it really hurts us when we lose, and that loss is connected to FOMO. We feel like we're losing something. So it makes it just really powerful in the end of the day.
Whoops, was muted there. Sorry about that. All right, diving into some of the targeting tips that we have here for you. So we definitely recommend running campaigns on Sunday and Wednesday in the sports vertical and promoting your products primarily in December. We're seeing the highest opportunity there for sports marketers across the board. When it comes to devices, we do recommend testing campaigns on tablet devices. We're seeing high opportunities here. Again, during that research stage is especially critical there. And the content type that we're seeing perform the best and where the most opportunity exists for marketers is really text-based articles. There's a lot of sports-related content out there that's very visual and very moving, and we're definitely seeing a demand for article content and not as much supply. When you're creating the creatives to promote those articles, you're going to want to keep animals out of the images. We're seeing photos without animals give 100% higher click-through rates than those with animals. And when it comes to writing the headlines, try to work in the word hilarious, which is increasing click-through rates up to 97%.
That's funny. It connects to our humor strategy, right?
For sure. So looking at some example campaigns here, in the awareness stage, this particular campaign example is qualifying people that might be interested in sports in general. 9 out of 10 Americans fail this NFL Thanksgiving quiz. Can you pass it? You're definitely probably interested in sports or sports-related products if you're looking at that campaign. And maybe you're qualifying the consideration for a product that is a helmet with hilarious wipeouts that prove you need a helmet. If you're looking into this type of content, maybe you want to see hilarious wipeouts, but you probably also might be looking for a helmet. And at the decision stage, luxury biking helmets on sale this Black Friday for 20 bucks. Again, another really direct campaign that certainly qualifies people at the decision stage of the funnel.
So the strategy I wanted to talk about was actually the first title, 9 out of 10 Americans fail this NFL Thanksgiving quiz. Usually quizzes are used for the consideration phase of the funnel because you would probably, the consumer would answer it and then they would get the reply in their email. So it's a good way to get lead gen. But it could also be used for awareness. And the reason why I like this so much was also because quizzes are really great. Like people love quizzes because they're just fun to do. You'll be amazed by the amount of people that answer quizzes every single day. And because it's kind of like a challenge, right? The way this is phrased is like most Americans fail this quiz. Can you pass it? And that challenge has also like we found that works really, really well too. So we wanted to end with something that we usually will include in our webinars, and that is to talk a little bit about a site called Taboola Trends. You can find it on trends.taboola.com. This site is, what we do on this site is we take every single one of the items that run on our network and we analyze them for best practices. So a while back, like a few years ago, we understood that having static best practices isn't really helpful. Why? Because best practices are always changing. So color might work in one day, and then a few months later, black and white might work. And of course, it depends on your category, right? So if you're like in the auto category, you might have different best practices than if you're in beauty, right? And different countries, of course, and platforms and languages. So what we suggest, especially towards the holidays, is really to look at the trends and see what is working right now in your vertical or your country, and rely on this data when you're choosing which images to test in your campaign. Other things that we have on the site is we have image trends. We also have video trends if you're looking for video creative data. We also have keyword trends, a few phrase trends, and one more thing that we have there that's actually really cool, so I wanted to make sure to show you, is this title analyzer, or what I'm calling the title predictive tool. What you can do here is really cool. You guys listening? So you can add a title to this, and if you add another title that's different, it will tell you which one of the titles has a higher predictive CTR based on our algorithm. Okay, so you can test as many titles as you want, and you could change words. I really look at it as like a playground, like it's fun for me to try and make it a little longer, make it a little shorter, change a word here, change a word there, and come up with the top, I don't know, number of items or titles that I think have, or that this tool is telling me that has the highest predictive CTR, and only work on those, right? You don't want to waste your money on titles that have no power, or that aren't going to work at all. And especially if you're preparing for these campaigns in advance, you want to make sure to be ready for success. So this is a tool that I would definitely recommend using.
All right, so just to recap some of the main takeaways we talked about today. Don't discount mobile devices. Focus on your mobile devices, in fact, in combination with desktop devices when choosing devices to target for your campaigns. You're going to want bid a little bit higher this season when it comes to your CPCs and CPAs, because there is a lot of competition out there, and it's not just other advertisers that you're competing with. Definitely use video. Video is a really hot trend right now. It really grabs attention for consumers, and it really helps to improve brand awareness. And lean on some of those marketing strategies that Rachel went through with you. Humor, positive emotion, celebrity marketing, motion, and FOMO all do wonders in helping people remember your brand and convert around the holidays. And then finally, check out image and keyword trends regularly. I just want to reiterate what Rachel just said. These best practices are definitely useful, but they do change quite often. So check out the trend site for more up-to-date as you run your campaigns throughout the holiday season. I also just wanted to mention, if we didn't talk about your specific vertical here, we do have a full holiday marketing guide that includes a lot of the insights that we talked about today. It covers 11 different industries and is based on global data from over 29 countries. You can download it to take a look at a holiday marketing calendar, video, and sponsored content recommendations for creative insights. And you can find it at go.taboola.com/holiday marketing guide. All right, so I have been collecting a few questions throughout the webinar, so we'll start with those, but at this time we'd like to invite you guys to ask us any questions that you might have. But to get started, the first question that we have, does Taboola work in Singapore?
Yeah, that is a good question. So, okay, could I grab it, Megan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So yes, it does work in Singapore. Okay, we actually ran an analysis. It's a funny story. We ran an analysis to see, in how many countries is Taboola live or does Taboola work? And the answer was 197 countries. And I Googled it and I was like, how many countries are there in the world? And I think there was 172. And I'm like, where did all these extra countries? And I looked into it, and it's just like, it's like an island here that's like part of England, but we made it, like, I guess the data made it into its own country. But really, we are in every single country in the world, and yes, in Singapore too. So yeah, it's a cool story.
All right, and one that I'll answer, are these observations specific to one country or applicable globally? They're definitely applicable globally. So speaking to the data that's specific in this holiday guide, the data in the holiday guide is global data. But if you are interested in vertical specific, country specific insights, we do have benchmark reports in a variety of different verticals that go through, I think, 17 different countries each. So it'll give you like the best time of day to target your education campaigns in India. You can find that information in all of our benchmark reports, which is on our resources center at taboola.com/resources. All right, let's see here. Which holiday should we spend the most of our budgets on? So I guess I can take this one too. So data that I've found while doing research for this webinar from eMarketer and the National Retail Federation does show that Cyber Monday is driving a lot more sales, maybe even more sales than Black Friday, but especially online sales. So I would focus there, but really you want to distribute your spend throughout the holiday so you can help move people throughout the funnel.
Yeah, and after the holiday, we saw like a few spikes in the end of our holiday, no?
Yes, absolutely, and after the holiday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Come on,
so
guys.
One last question before we go, because we're over time now. Can I distribute my video on Taboola?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, you can. Thank you for asking that. Very, very kind person, Brenda. So yes, you can distribute videos on Taboola in various countries and in various verticals as well. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. That's all the time that we have. And like we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, if you weren't here, we will send out the webinar recording and the webinar deck for your review and to the attendees that couldn't make it. So look for that in your inboxes within the next few days. And thanks again, and we hope to see you at the next webinar.
Bye, guys.
Bye.